Well, you do. 9 degrees below it, you see another one. So if it's
No, you don't. I've seen a
yes,
double.
You do.
I'm afraid not. I've seen a double rainbow, but that's not what you're talking about, is it?
No, so there's two rainbows with inverted colours, and between the two rainbows, apparently the sky appears slightly darker, and that is called Alexander's Dark Band.
That's called something you just made up, David.
Nick, I would not lie to you.
Why don't you tell me to look it up?
Well, because you don't do homework, that's why.
It's the right answer.
Affirmative.
I don't do homework. But, sir, it's the weekend.
We'll get your minion to do it then.
Yeah, all right. If only I had a minion. I'll maybe hire one of Steve Allen's minions. He's got minions surrounding him like flies on... Never mind. He's got clouds of minions. All right, thanks a lot, David. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. Look at the time. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
A bit difficult tonight, to be honest. It seems to be going here, there and everywhere, baby. Kath texts, if you need more than 3 bottles of sunflower oil, then what on earth do you have planned? Good question, Kath. Some slippery, squirty fun. Rafi says, I can tell you one positive of Brexit was when Bodge was able to offer a 1% pay increase to nurses. You've never had it so good. What's that got to do with Brexit? I think he's just trolling me. Good work there, Rafi. Sutton. Hello, Sammy.
Hi there, Nick. Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what has Steve Allen's oranges and his jokes got in common?
What has Steve Allen's oranges and his jokes got in common? I don't know, Sammy. What have Steve Allen's oranges and jokes got in common?
Both tasteless.
Both tasteless. All right, thanks a lot, Sammy. Keep thinking, because that's what you do best. There's a reason that Steve Allen's oranges are tasteless, and that's because everything's tasteless these days. It's because they ain't got nothing in them no more. What was the name of that thing that I had?
Nardicot.
A Nardicot. I've never heard of it in my life. It's just like a heavier, denser Satsuma or tangerine. What the difference is between a Satsuma and a tangerine? I've got no idea. But it's smaller than an orange, but this seems to be about halfway between the two. Now, I took it home, and I hesitate to use the word enjoy. I ate it today, and I must inform you that it was rubbish. It didn't taste of anything at all. It was just like sort of orange. It was like a nothing. Thanks a lot, Steve. I didn't enjoy it. So here's an article in the paper today about that very thing. Fruit and vegetables sold in the UK now contain half the amount of some key nutrients that they did in 1940. Depleted levels of iron, magnesium, sodium and copper mean that we are at increased risk of malnutrition, experts warn.
Oh, no.
Experts! Researchers at Coventry University examined the ingredients of 28 types of fruit and vegetable, including but not limited to potatoes and bananas, sold in the UK in 1940, 1991 and 2019. Analysts revealed average levels of sodium fell by 52%, iron by 51% and copper by 49%. Now, they don't sound like very tasty things, but I bet they add up to much of what the taste is in fruit and vegetables. Magnesium levels fell 10%, potassium by 5%, and calcium by 2.5%. And taste fell by about 100%. Nothing tastes of anything anymore. I've forgotten what a tomato is actually supposed to taste like. What's an apple supposed to taste like? I can remember apples used to make your eyes water, they were so strong. Like I avoided a certain type of apple, like Cox's Orange Pippins. I wouldn't have them, because it made you cry when you were eating them. Not that I'm complaining or anything.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Cry they made me. You know, when you went scrumping for apples in next door's garden, they'd had an apple tree there, and you would eat them off the tree. And the scrumping part, that was fun. But the eating the apples that you're taking off the tree,
Disgusting.
awful. They tasted too strong. You don't get that with an apple now. Now it's just like eating crispy water. Writing in the International Journal of Food, Sciences and Nutrition, researchers said many people do not consume a sufficiently varied diet. Most varieties of fruit and vegetables eaten today have been bred to improve productivity and profitability, and this focus on yield has largely ignored any implications for nutritional quality, the researchers say. Yet mostly because the people that produce our food aren't remotely interested in nutritional quality. They call on ministers to regularly monitor the nutritional quality of fruit and vegetables and any variations between varieties and production methods. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Yeah, the government's going to get straight on that. Don't worry about a thing. The British Nutrition Foundation's Helena Gibson-Moore said the alarming results would have little overall dietary nutritional impact on a healthy, balanced diet, which sounds like complete nonsense, doesn't it? I mean, if vegetables don't have any kind of goodness that they once had, then nothing else in the food chain will either. Because animals eat the vegetables. And the British Nutrition Foundation, they wouldn't be funded by the food industry by any chance, would they? Think about it. If it doesn't taste of anything, then it's quite likely that the taste part was what made it good for you. Now veg and fruit seem to be grown for beauty and shelf life. And they don't seem to have much relationship with what food used to be. You can remember what food used to be, can't you?
No.
Not really. Kath said, oh no, I read that. Sunflower oil. Why would anybody want more than 3 bottles of sunflower oil? You're not supposed to have a party with it. Jay says, comparisons to Jesus Christ are fair. Bodger turns wine into water at a prodigious rate.
Booze.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Nikki says, quick question, what film would you most like to be buried with? What difference does it make? What difference does it make? He or she, sexist, says, if that's too hard to answer, what takeaway? Well, I'll give you both. Koyaanisqatsi and a pizza. Pizza. Koyaanisqatsi, by the way, Koyaanisqatsi. I hope you wrote that down. Northfields, Terry.
Nick.
Terry.
Have you had COVID?
I don't know. I suspect I have.
I'm just thinking, if you think a lot of things are tasteless, that might be why you think they're tasteless.
No, they're tasteless because they're tasteless.
Well, yeah, some things are tasteless.
Most things are tasteless these days. Apples, tomatoes. I mean, tomatoes is a big thing. Why do they cost so much for a start? And how come they don't taste of anything?
Well, that's got something to do with the stuff that they put on them for travelling, so the skins are thicker, so they don't get bruised when they're travelling. But I've got a cousin who had COVID.
Now, wait. Back up. Tell me about your cousin in a minute. But how do you know about the tomatoes?
Oh, I was watching a documentary a couple of years ago.
Television.
Yeah, and it's also mainly for the sandwiches that they make when they're in the shops, in the supermarkets, so they don't make the bread go soggy.
Right. Well, the reason why bread goes soggy when they put tomatoes in is because people don't take the juicy pip bit out. You're just supposed to leave the meat of the tomato and take all the wet bit out. And
that's probably the bit that tastes.
I don't think it is. I think it's the meat part of the tomato that tastes, not the watery bit with the seeds in it. But what did you say about they put on something to make the skin thicker?
Go harder. Like they use pesticides and what. There's something else that they add to make the skins grow a little bit thicker.
Really?
So they don't get so they don't get bruised. I think it was something like In the Factory on BBC Two.
Right.
Some documentary like that.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Well, that would make sense.
It's an educational
show. This. That's right.
Oh, why would you want 3 bottles? You might be shopping for 2 other people.
Yeah, very good, Terry. Blimey, the things that you are clearing up for us, it's a remarkable feat so far. Now, what about your cousin?
Oh, yeah, because he caught COVID and he can't taste sausages, coffee, there was something else, bacon.
Wow, that's breakfast done then.
Yeah, exactly. So he's lost a bit of weight.
Yeah, I bet.
What's the point in eating something you can't taste?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Particularly if it's sausages, bacon and coffee.
I know, gutting there. Gutting. Anyway,
all right.
That's all I wanted to say.
All right, well done. Thanks, Terry. 0345 6060 973. God, wouldn't that be awful? Paul tweets, all the Boris fans who keep making excuses for him are going to struggle to keep it up when the next instalment is revealed. Allegedly, there's evidence of a party in his flat, complete with ABBA music and happy pictures. ABBA music?
Rock and roll!
How can they say that isn't a party, says Paul. Yeah, there's much else to come, but they made a big song and a dance about him not receiving any further fines over Partygate. Not so far. Not today, anyway. Boris Johnson has not received any further fines over Partygate. Downing Street has confirmed. The whole street is in agreement. It comes after the Met had reportedly begun issuing fines to those who attended the Number 10 garden party during the first lockdown on May the 20th, 2020. That's when strict COVID rules were in place. Johnson previously apologised for attending the gathering, insisting that he believed implicitly that it was a work event. Right. That was the Bring Your Own Booze work event that had been advertised for staff to make the most of the lovely weather, you remember? With some drinks. That invite sent to 100 people. Just the sort of work event that we're all familiar with. May the 20th was also the day that the Metropolitan Police posted a tweet to remind people that they could only enjoy being outside if they were on their own, with people they live with, or on their own with one other person from a different household. And so if invites were sent to 100 staff members at Number 10, then that's 100 households. 100 households were invented to that business party. I mean, what kind of business meeting do you bring your own booze to, for crying out loud? And your own wife, by the way. What's her role, business-wise, at Number 10? I mean, I suppose we should be relieved that Bodger brought his own wife and not someone else's. It's the constant lying that's the thing. He thinks that we're so stupid that we'll just drop it if he steamrollers over us and does his, "Paw, it's me! Fun guy off the telly." You know, that routine. Yeah, oh, leave him alone. He's doing his best. God, it's vomitous. Number 10 feared the Prime Minister, who has already paid a £50 fine, or more likely had someone pay it for him, over a 56th birthday bash at Number 10 in June 2020, that the fears were that he'd have to stump up over an event a month earlier. But he's not yet received a fine in relation to that gathering, which is odd because he was definitely there, drink in hand, enjoying himself, while the rest of us stayed indoors because he told us to. He told MPs in January that the Downing Street garden had been used as, quotes, an extension of the office during the COVID crisis because of the role of fresh air in stopping the virus. Good one, Bosch. You did it to protect people. Is there no end to your saintliness?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I mean, that like teams of lawyers must have been sitting around a table at our expense, by the way, coming up with this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, a new poll has revealed that 61% of the public believe the PM should resign. 61%. When asked, do you think that Bodge is genuinely sorry for breaking lockdown rules, 66% said no. Just 20% thought that he was genuinely sorry. 20%. Government approval and disapproval levels? 23% approve of the government, 57% disapprove. Wow. It's taken you 2 short years, Bodge. How do you do it?
I can't comment on that.
Nick Abbott on LBC.
Shut up.
I can't. 0345 6060 973. That was Carol McGiffin, by the way. I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin. Have you heard it? Oh, I think you'll love it. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which the delightful Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while laughing our faces off. It's about an hour long, comes out on Mondays. If you want us to have a bash at your issue, send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. nickandcarol@global.com, and prepare for a certain amount of satisfaction. Ask for it by name. On an internet near you, what's your problem with Nick and Carol? Oliver texts, the photo of Big Ben that you tweeted today showed 2 different time zones, but one obvious sign. One rule for them, one rule for us. I tweeted a picture of Big Ben. I tell you what, they've taken the scaffolding off it. It looks fan-bloomin-tastic. But they haven't got the all the clock faces to show the right time yet. So I tweeted a picture of one clock face says midnight or noon, depending, and the other had the right time on it. But it does look really good. I mean, they've just done an excellent job on it. It looks fantastic. And please don't tweet me in or phone call and say, don't you know anything? Why don't you do your research? It's not called Big Ben, it's called the Elizabeth Tower. Alice says, and that's exactly how they speak as well. Alice says, Partygate is no more about parties than Watergate's about water. Well, not entirely true, Alice. And Mark says, when I had the incredible good luck to be educated properly at Westminster School, I have to say that we thought of Etonians as idiots. Idiots, Smug.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
Well, I think that's case proved. Sydney, Vikram.
Good morning, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Good to speak to you.
Go ahead.
Nick, you were talking about the fruit and veg.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you go to the supermarket and you look at the banana and avocado, and it says ready in 1 or 2 days,
yes.
Right? Ready to eat.
Ready to eat.
So when you take home, after 1 or 2 days, it's ready to eat, like it's ripened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if you go after like 2 days in the supermarket and check in the same aisle? What would happen then?
Right. Good point. Yeah.
What would happen?
Well, that is that's good thinking there, Vikram. I don't know, but leave it with me and I'll look into it. All right. All that ready-to-eat stuff, you take it home and it's so hard, like pears. Ready-to-eat pears. Simply take it home and enjoy it at your leisure. And you take it home and it's so hard you could bang nails in a brick with it. All right, thanks a lot, Vikram. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, what happens to all that stuff? Because you'd think that they'd have to just chuck it away. I bet that we throw away in this country. I mean, I know that we consumers throw away a lot of food, or apparently. I don't. But every now and again, some newspaper will print the statistic, which will say that we throw away about a quarter of the food that we buy. I've got no idea who is throwing all that food away, but it ain't me, that's for sure. But I bet the supermarkets throw away so much stuff. I bet it's obscene how much they throw away. And all of that ready-to-eat stuff must be right at the top of the list. Because if a pear has got a best before date and it says ready to eat right now, and the best before date is a couple of days away, then and people don't buy it because it's stupidly expensive, then they're just going to throw it away, aren't they? That's terrible. Half the world is starving to death, and the other half of the world is so fat they can't see their feet anymore. What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
Richie says, nice to hear from those hard-working royals, Edward and Sophie. Yeah. Yeah, I've forgotten they existed. What have they been doing for the last forever? Edward and Sophie. What do they do, by the way? I mean, does anybody have a clue? Maidenhead. Hello, Lee.
Hello, Nick. Good evening.
Lee.
I was thinking about when the previous callers were calling in about the tomatoes having no taste, such and such. I worked many years ago in the 80s in Israel for about 5 years where they developed a system on drippers where all the above ground vegetables, they're grown in sand and they're just fed the nutrients they need to grow. And none of them have any taste at all.
Yeah, well, I imagine.
And then they now do this in the UK as well.
Well, they call it hydroponic, don't they?
Yeah, hydroponic.
Hydroponic.
And they use polytunnels.
Right.
But they only feed the plants what they need to grow and look beautiful,
yeah,
but they have no taste at all.
That's the thing. People will leave on the shelves fruit and vegetables that actually taste good because they don't look good.
Yes. They're grown hydroponically to look beautiful, but they have no taste
No taste. And that's what people prefer. People prefer food that hasn't got any taste to it. I mean, that's what we prefer in this country.
But they can't do it to root vegetables. So your carrots are usually a bit better.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, unless they
Only
find some way to...
that will grow above ground.
Right. Maybe they should try growing them upside down.
Yeah.
Think about it, Lee. All right. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Lee. Yeah, that's probably a very good reason why nothing tastes of anything anymore. Plus, it's all forced, isn't it? They don't... it's the fruit and vegetables aren't grown in a relaxed way with nature. They're forced to grow really quickly outside of their season, too. That's because the consumer wants to have a choice of everything all year long, which is, probably another excellent reason to eat with the seasons. Don't ask for nectarines in January. There was the thing about, I was just talking to a fella in Australia about apples. And, I don't know if I can get into this, but apple farmers fear a trade deal with Australia that allows farmers' crops to be treated with banned pesticides could ruin their livelihoods. That is, apple farmers in this country are concerned that this trade deal with Australia could ruin their livelihoods. Australia signed the agreement in December and hopes to triple its apple exports to the UK. But health campaigners say that the country allows the use of 33 hazardous organophosphates.
Oh, no.
33 of them. That's compared with just 4 that are allowed here in the UK. And they say an influx of cheaper and substandard produce may threaten British orchards. Barney Butterfield, which is a name I'm not making up. He runs an orchard in Devon. He said imported products sold as equivalent but produced to lower and dangerous standards will chill the price that the British farmer can achieve and undermine the fruit market. It'll also rightly cause a loss of confidence from the consumer that what they're buying is safe. But, as he is an expert in possession of facts, no one is remotely interested in anything he's got to say. But don't take the expert orchard owner Barney's word for it, because the government thinks that too. The government's own impact assessment shows that the post-Brexit trade deal with Australia will result in a £94 million hit to local agriculture and forestry and fishing, which is 3 of the businesses that I thought we were patriotically saving by, going Brexit's way. Because, it makes perfect sense to get our apples from Australia. I mean, we are famously an apple-growing nation, and we're going to be sourcing our fruit from as far away on Earth as it's possible to get. That's not saving the planet. And the stuff they're squirting over the apples that they grow in Australia. Chloropyrifos. I mean, if you have to squint at it and read it phonetically, then you probably don't want to eat it. Chloropyrifos, an insecticide used against spiders and beetles. And of course, in Australia, spiders are about the size of a Volkswagen. So you can imagine how much chloropyrifos they have to squirt all over it. They probably have to bash them to death with hammers. It's an insecticide. which Australia bans where children or pregnant women could come into contact with, but it's allowed on farms. Does that make any sense?
No.
Anyway, there's loads of more excruciating detail on this story, much of which I'm sure you won't want to know. But I do hope that you enjoy your between meals snack. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
0345 6060 973. Chris texts, be careful suggesting a fox cull in London. I presume London has rats and mice. Foxes are a natural predator of both. Its presence will have more than just a consumption effect. Huh? If, as you say, foxes are becoming human tolerant, then that's a human problem, not a fox problem. Chris, what are you talking about? I haven't mentioned foxes on this show. Which station are you listening to, Chris? What's he on about?
I'm not sure, Nick.
Mystifying. Not making any sense, Chris. Howard says, let's see what this one's like. Howard says, Duke and Duchess of Wessex, my Atlas of Britain must be out of date. I can't find Wessex anywhere. Look harder, Howard. Let's have a call in Guildford. Peter.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
I am great, mate.
With regards to the Partygate thing, I understand that we're not allowed to know who the other 48 people or whatever that have been fined. And I can't help wondering how many other maybe cabinet ministers or MPs are amongst that 48.
Yeah. 48, probably.
Yeah, it does make you wonder, how many journalists right-wing journalists might have been there, and it just seems very fishy that we're only allowed to know that it's like I can understand low-grade civil servants not being named, that's okay, but it does and it also makes me wonder, when they say, we haven't got a natural successor to Boris, it makes me wonder whether some of them could be involved in all, And
you mean, right, okay, so like somebody who might take over from Bodge might also be implicated in this in these shenanigans.
When you think of Fishy Rishi was there, it's not that much of a stretch to think at least one of them could have been at the party as well.
Yeah.
But it just, when I hear people ringing up defending Boris, Nick, It just sounds to me like they're saying, we want a lead. From now on, we don't mind if any Prime Minister breaks the law. Yeah. We don't care. That's gone out the window now.
They do care. Here's why they say that. It's because everyone's picked a side, and regardless of what it is that your side has done, they will support it to the maximum because it upsets the other side. And that's it, really. It's not a question of principle anymore. It's not even a question of opinion. It's just whatever upsets the other side, that's what I believe in.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what the Tories would be like if, say, Jeremy Corbyn was Prime Minister? It would be absolutely destroyed. They'd be going crazy about it.
They'd be launching an attack. There would be a takeover.
Yeah, there would. And I just...
For the benefit of the nation, they'd say, we must stage a coup immediately.
I just think what's happening is I don't know, because he's been on the edge so many times of being kicked out, but I do get the feeling this time that I'm hoping anyway that the rot set in and people are really turning against him. Slowly but surely.
Now, as a person that wants another party to win the next general election, though, Peter, you can't... have you thought that it might not be in your best interest for Boris Johnson to leave? It would be in your interest for him to stay.
Yeah, that I have thought about that. I am conflicted about that because what you're right. If he stays, Labour's got more chance of winning. But you know as well as I do, the trouble is in this country, you can change the leader of the Tory party, and people out there seem to think the government has changed.
Yeah.
And that's Labour's problem. So I do see what
brand
you
new
mean.
people, new people, a new organisation. It's a new. It's a new Conservative, new Tory. But it's not. Yeah. It's the same people. They've just got a different figurehead, a different bloke at the front waving his arms about. Pah!
And the trouble is, Nick, someone is a bit more, quote, sensible. I mean, I don't think any of them are, but quotes is a bit more serious. Will be even more right wing.
Do you have a persistent cough?
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm all right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, then. They could be even more right wing. Exactly. Yeah. So be careful what you wish for. It might be even worse if Bodge decides to call it a day, or people decide it for him. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Peter. 0345 6060 973. And of course, Brexit hard man Steve Baker. You remember Brexit hard man Steve Baker? Yeah, that's right. He has said the gig's up. Like he's a rock and roller.
Rock and roll!
The gig is up, he said, about Bodger. As he wrote this, or he subjected himself to a Telegraph inquisition. This is from the Telegraph article. Brexit hardman Steve Baker's overriding concern is that the state should interfere as little as possible in people's lives. Daniel Hannan, the Tory peer, once said that Baker is the only person he'd seen physically flinch at the thought of government spending. So this is the guy that's going to save us. He describes his politics as Christian libertarian. That's libertarian as in leaving capitalism to do what suits it. In other words, if you're rich, you'll be fine, and if you're not, then you won't. And that taxation is theft. Brexit hardman Steve Baker. And then if you look at his voting, I mean, if you look at any of their votings, look up, it doesn't really matter who it is in the Conservative Party, because they all seem to vote the exact same way, regardless of who they are. It's very, very difficult to find one that hasn't voted the exact same way to all of the others, like they're automatons.
Affirmative.
Like a bunch of robots. And it's all like this. Consistent, and you can look it up on They Work For You. It's a website, They Work For You. Just dial in your favourite MP and you can see how they voted on various issues. It's an excellent resource. Theyworkforyou.com, I think it is. Steve Baker consistently voted for making local councils responsible for helping those in financial need and reducing the amount spent on such support. Consistently voted for reducing housing benefit for social tenants deemed to have excess bedrooms. That's the bedroom tax. Consistently voted against raising welfare benefits at least in line with prices. Consistently voted against paying higher benefits over longer periods for those unable to work due to illness or disability. Almost always voted against spending public money to create guaranteed jobs for young people who have spent a long time unemployed. Consistently voted for a reduction in spending on welfare benefits. Those are measures that would help the poor. How's he voted on measures that would help the rich, I hear you ask? Well, now, almost always voted against a banker's bonus tax. Consistently voted against increasing the tax rate applied to income over $150,000. Consistently voted for more restrictive regulation on trade union activity. Almost always voted for reducing capital gains tax, which is how the rich get their money, capital gains. So that's very interesting, because he's a Christian libertarian. We know the libertarian bit. That's don't tax us, and capitalism can just wreak whatever disaster it likes. Don't touch it. But it's the Christian part what concerns me. Because is that what Jesus would do? Vote against the interests of the poor and the needy and for the interests of the rich? I don't know. I'm no expert on religion, but I sort of doubt it. 0345 6060 973. Let's have York. Jan.
Hello, Nick.
Jan.
How are you tonight?
I am great, mate.
Good. Now, you mentioned all the food that's thrown away, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think if they stop putting the best before date on, a lot of less food will get chucked away. Don't you?
Do people just read the best before date on like vegetables and fruit and think, oh well, it's that was yesterday, so I've got to throw it away now? I mean, do people
I
really
think a lot of
that?
people do.
Do they?
I think a lot of people do. Yeah, I do honestly.
That's madness, Jan.
I know it is. That's why I think they should stop putting it on.
Like if it's chicken, then yes, I get that.
Yeah, but surely you can tell if it's gone off. Even if it's chicken, can't you?
Even a non-expert can tell the difference between a vegetable and chicken.
Yeah, I know, but if chicken's gone off, can't you tell it's gone off?
Well, I wouldn't risk it. Not chicken or fish, in fact. And you know those ready-made meals that people do insist on buying. If it says eat before, then you probably want to eat it before a certain date. But if it's an apple or a carrot. Well, do they actually put best before dates on fruit and veg? I bet they do.
I think it's on everything.
Well, I think you're right.
I really do think it's stupid.
Take it off, exactly.
Yeah.
And we should go back to how it used to be, where people used to, sniff it, and if it didn't smell nice,
exactly,
chuck it out.
If it smells rotten, it's gone off. Don't eat it.
If it's absolutely covered in green fur and is walking across your plate, don't eat that vegetable.
That's right. Yeah. It is so stupid, the amount of food that's thrown away. It is. It's obscene, isn't it?
Well, that was the very word that I was going to use. Obscene. Yeah. Yes. When there's half the planet that's starving to death, it is properly obscene. Yeah.
It is, really.
Yeah. I'm absolutely starving at the moment, Jan. I wonder if there's any biscuits in the building.
Well, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you not looked?
No, I haven't. But if I find one, I won't even care if it's past the best before date. I'm just going to eat it anyway.
Well, of course. Biscuits can't go off, can they?
No, probably not, no. And furthermore, they are nutritious and delicious.
Correct.
That is absolutely true.
Especially if they've got chocolate on.
Chocolate. All right, thanks a lot, Jan. Now I really am hungry. 0345 6060 973. And no, I do not want another piece of Steve Allen's tasteless fruit. I'm going to give Steve Allen a shopping list because the stuff that he's buying at the moment is just rubbish. I mean, I went and had a look in the news, and there's all that's left is gumdrops. Gumdrops? Who eats gumdrops? It's not a nursery school, Steve. Not that I'm complaining or anything.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Mary tweets, I wonder if the predictions about Macron beating Le Pen tomorrow are taking into account the general reluctance of voters to be honest with pollsters about their intention to vote for extreme candidates. Similar phenomenon to Thatcher back in the day. And, of course, the screaming Mimi.
Don't be rude.
Who hasn't gone away, by the way. Still managing to generate news, despite everything. Keith tweets, if Madame Le Pen wins, nobody aged under 30 will be left here because she says she will scrap tax for those. Not a bad idea. Yeah, but you can't go over there, though, can you, Keith? You're not allowed to because of the B word, which you're not supposed to mention in any way, shape or form. How's it going, by the way?
Brexit's going great.
Thanks, Nigel. You're the best. Brexit's going abysmally badly, and I've got detailed files. Would you like me to elucidate further?
No.
I'll assume that the answer is
No, 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 no.
but I will if you insist. June says, what you experienced on that ferry to the Isle of Wight, is perfectly normal in Greece. I spent all summer jumping on and off the ferries and dodging the cars and the lorries and the bikes, etc. I'm not exaggerating. I really did think I was going to die on that boat. There was the ferry over to the Isle of Wight, as I was explaining some while ago on this super show. And there was no way it didn't seem to me, for a person on foot to get off that boat. Because everybody was in a car or a lorry, more to the point. And so I found myself on the lorry deck, packed in, they were, like virtually like 6 inches between lorries, waiting for the big thing to go down so that they would drive off. And I thought, nobody in these lorries, all of whose engines are currently running, nobody can see me. They don't know I'm here. I'm going to die on a boat to the Isle of Wight, for crying out loud. Not even somewhere exciting. No offence. I didn't, though. Spoiler alert.
Warning, warning.
I didn't die on that boat. Stephen texts, does Nadine Dorris Brain use... Well, this is just offensive. Does Nadine Dorris Brain use dial-up to downstream information to her tongue? Highly offensive tweet. Let's have a call in. Tooting. Why not? Jan.
Hi, good evening.
Hello,
Hi.
Jan.
So I'm your second Jan of the evening.
Yes, Jan.
Yeah, so I'm ringing up because I wanted to make a point. We covered a lot of very interesting ground, but I'm coming on to this fruit and veg business about it being half as nutritious as 80 years ago, because I was wondering whether, they don't say, though I'm going to follow the research up, but they don't say whether they were looking into, or they're not differentiating between organic and ordinary food. Because I was thinking, perhaps organic, you assume that something grown organically has more nutritional value and has less sort of pesticides and all kind of things in it, or on it, or whatever, grown on the soil, and that it would organic. Well, I go on the assumption that which I use organic foods therapeutically for juices and things.
Therapeutically. Therapeutically.
Yeah.
For
I mean, that's nutritional, for nutritional therapies. Because if I make dark green juices, I want to use stuff that's got less, juice them.
Right.
I want them to have less pesticides in them, so I get
dark
organic.
Green juices. What do you use that for?
Oh, well, for certain foods are good for certain health problems.
Ailments, right.
No, but I've been researching anti-cancer foods as well.
Right.
But this is, I wanted to make a point about, so it doesn't say in the thing whether they've been researching, making a difference between what's organic, what's, they're saying it's half as nutritious, but they're not saying whether organic food has more nutrition, which is where I'm interested. And then I came across, they're saying that the food has deteriorated in quality because we're relying on a lot of imported food. Yeah, and then I came across
who's they?
The researchers, or the article that I'm reading from the health correspondent. So then I was thinking. So then I came across by happy accident an article in another paper about organic vegetable study. This is in Spain, reveals disease risk. Yeah. And it's quite frightening.
Wait a minute, a disease risk from eating organic vegetables?
It was done in Spain.
Oh, for crying out loud. Are you telling me that you get a disease from eating organic vegetables now?
Yeah, that's why I thought I'd come in on your program.
Please, I don't believe a word of it. I am up to my eyeballs with you can't eat this and you can't eat that, and one day an orange is good for you and the next day an orange is bad for you, and one day you can drink a cup of coffee and the next day if you drink a cup of coffee your eyeballs will explode out of your skull and splat on the wall opposite you.
No, seriously, this was in, where was this? This was in today's Times. Organic vegetable study reveals diseases, and these are from imported stuff from Spain.
Right.
And
are you not talking about lettuce, that there may be salmonella on it?
They're talking about researchers collected samples of organic spinach lettuce from supermarkets.
Like I just said, it's got salmonella on it.
They got 52 disease-causing types of bacteria on the
for crying out loud. Well, I don't care, Jan. I'm going to eat it anyway, because I'm just sick of all this. You can eat this and you can't eat that.
But they say what they're saying with these.
I don't care what they say or who they are.
To remove the bacteria. But there again, I've been researching anti-cancer foods for some years. No, seriously, Nick, there's been a lot, and anyone can
When you say you've been researching, you mean you've just been reading articles that other people have written?
No.
Yes.
Anti-cancer. There's a lot of research in anti-cancer foods.
Yeah.
The type of foods that if you've had cancer and you eat them, it will help keep the cancer at bay. And they're really well researched by professors and anti-cancer experts. And
okay, so what's good for you then?
Well, for instance, the brassicas or any foods of the cabbage family.
Yeah. Well,
broccoli.
Everybody knows that. Broccoli and sprouts and cabbage. Yeah, you should eat that stuff. What else?
No, but I mean, they're good for as anti-cancer foods.
Well, it's also good to eat as a vegetable. You don't,
yes.
Right. Well, so all vegetables and fruit, good for you, right?
It's loaded with pesticides, and then that's why I've been thinking that as long as they're not loaded with pesticides, they're good for you. But if they're loaded with some of those pesticides and things, and even look, they're growing food on sludge.
Sludge.
Fertilizer.
Right, sludge. Yeah.
No,
seriously. I believe you. Well, they grow food on, cow product. Can you imagine that?
Disgusting.
Awful. I could do with a couple of pints of sludge right now, as a matter of fact. Give me a straw and I'll drink it right down. Thanks a lot, Jan, for that alarming call. Edward texts, I wouldn't call Rees-Mogg's accent clipped. It is what is known as rotten posh. He makes Prince William sound working class in comparison. Yeah, it sounds dreadfully put on to me. All of that. JR says, not that JR, another one completely. When he was in the Bullingdon Club, George Osborne was called an oik because he went to neither Harrow nor Eton. Bullingdon. But I thought Bullingdon was the Eton Messy Club. Says it all about who runs the country, says JR. Isn't the Bullingdon Club from the Eton people, or is that Oxford?
No, it's Oxford.
Oxford, right. Oh, God, these people. It's just painful, isn't it? Why do we keep selecting these people to run us, for crying out loud? Just because they speak like that doesn't mean to say they know anything. I mean, don't take my word for it.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
There it is, from the horse's mouth. That ass. 0345 6060 973. Marianne emails, I always said if I won the lottery, I would get laser eye surgery as I have worn glasses since I was 7. But after your description of the current surgery, I think I'll pass. No, Marianne, don't be alarmed about what I was saying, because what I was referring to was how they used to do it some 30-odd years ago. God, is it really that long? Probably is. I was one of the first people to get it done. Do you want me to explain how it worked again?
No.
Oh, okay then. Much easier this time around, I think. Much easier now than it used to be, Marianne. Not that I'm recommending you do it, but I'm not recommending you don't do it, if that's clear. Don't bring me into it. It's a decision you're going to have to make yourself. But I am so glad that I did it then. Having not had to wear contact lenses for the past 30 years was worth the pain, believe me. Jamie says, you're scaring me. I'm getting my eye surgery done on Monday morning. Was it worth it? Yeah, please refer to the answer I gave some moments ago. Archie says, the fellow who told Russia to shut up and go away will get Johnson's gig or Disco Go. You can't be serious. Gavin Williamson, Prime Minister. Well, mind you, we've got...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He's our Prime Minister, so, stranger things have actually happened. This guy...
I just reckon we've got the very best people in this country, much better than the French have, much better than the Belgians have, much better than the Americans have. That doesn't surprise me at all, because we're a much better country than every single one of them.
Much better country than every single one of them. Yeah, well, maybe we actually need him right now. Maybe we need him more than anybody, because he will tell Vladimir Putin to shut up and go away. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Awful. Bertie texts, why all this Boris bashing? Mr. Johnson is our best leader since Mrs. Thatcher. There's always one. Always one, eh? And they're getting fewer and far between. Have you noticed? Not so many now. Like a while ago, it was a tsunami, a virtual giant wave of people, all of whom wanted to say, "Oh, leave him alone, he's doing his best." And they wanted to spit in their hands and comb his hair over. Brought out people's mothering side, because that's his act. That's how he keeps getting away with it. That's how he was getting away with it when he was a child. And he thinks that that's how he can get away with it now, doing that, who, me? That routine. Fine if you're 5, not so good if you're 55. Tom says, fabricant for Prime Minister, fabricant's wig for Deputy PM. Well, that's definitely something we should think about, Tom, because we get a twofer. We'd only have to pay one of them. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 12:30. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Food waste. The difficulty getting in and out of the country. Nuclear war. Just the basics. Josie says, leaving your eyeballs to one side, how's your tooth? Well, I haven't thought about it in a while, so I guess that's a good sign. That's a good sign, Josie. Thanks for reminding me. Abby texts, if PM receives a vote of no confidence cause he is found to have lied to Parliament, he won't resign. Only way he'll leave number 10 is if he's dragged kicking and screaming. Such is his sense of entitlement. Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Completely correct in every respect. Any thoughts, Bodge? No, he's still playing. Don't bother him because, if you bother him while he's playing, he'll throw his toys out the pram. Nobody wants to see that. Carnforth. Hey up, Annie.
Hey up, Nick. How you doing?
Great, mate.
Good. I don't know whether I just missed one caller who rang earlier who was making some comment about why vitamins and minerals are less in fruit and veg these days. I was just coming back from the bathroom cleaning my teeth, so I missed it.
It was a report just released. They compared fruit and veg between what it used to be like in the 1940s and what it used to be like in 1991 and then again today. And there's nothing in it, and there's nothing in our fruit and vegetables anymore. It's just water and air.
Well, I think your previous caller, Jan, is right about it. I've read stuff before that organic veg does have a lot more vitamins and minerals than intensively farmed veg. It's because they just deplete the soil, and they just partly to do with the chemicals, I think, and partly to do with they just keep on and on growing things.
Yeah, they force it out. They force grow it.
Yes, and they don't rest it.
Right.
In between crops and things.
I think fallow is the word. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just gets worse and worse.
But what she was saying, I believe, was that it's got more disease in it.
Is this something to do with Spain or something? Did she say it was to do with Spain?
She kept going on about Spain, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we try and buy as much organic fruit and veg as possible. But I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know what's going on with fruit and veg at the moment, just generally, because today I had to ring our care agency office to try and get a message to one of our carers to call at one of the supermarkets on the way to pick up some lettuce and watercress, which I'd forgotten to put on the shopping list. And
lettuce and watercress?
Yeah.
There's no nutritional content in either of those two things. It's just crunchy water. Lettuce and watercress?
Watercress is full of iron. It's very good for you.
Is it?
Yeah.
How much do you have to eat? I bet you have to eat buckets full of it to get some iron out of watercress.
Well, it is very high content of iron compared to other veggies. Yeah, or, salady things.
So what do you do with watercress?
Stick it on with the rest of your salad. Right. Yeah, or you could make soup with it, or...
God, how much watercress would you have to use to make soup? I mean, it must be like bushels.
Well, at least a whole packet, and
like
put
a
other
lorry
things
full.
in it as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, she couldn't. The woman who I was talking to in the office said that her husband had been to 3 different supermarkets in Lancaster, and not a lettuce was to be had anywhere.
What?
And and then our carer went to the one in Carnforth, not a lettuce to be had, or watercress, or anything. She said there was no salad stuff. All the things were tipped up, and they just said, "Oh, we won't get any more till Monday now."
Right.
So what is going on? Is this to do with the P&O ferries not working properly, or Brexit, or not having enough energy to go? Because the wonderfully named Minette Batters, who's the president of the National Farmers Union, I heard her saying recently that she was concerned that a lot of the growers in this country would not be able to grow all sorts of stuff that they grow in greenhouses because they wouldn't be able to afford to heat it, because energy bills have gone up so much for them, it wouldn't be worth them doing it.
I think all of this is coming in next year, because I think that we'll have the current crop, which was planted, I've got no idea about farming, but it's been planted a while ago. If we're eating it now, it was planted a while ago, right? And so it will have been heated to its precise requirements, and it will have been have nutrients and fertilizer and all the rest of it. But now, this time at this moment, now all the problems are besetting farmer persons. And so next year's crop is the one that's going to be absent. So I think if you are finding it difficult to get food at the moment, whatever it is that you require, even if you do want like watercress, then just wait, because it's about to get much, much worse.
Yeah, I think it is going to get much, much worse. And I don't quite know what's going on at the moment. I don't know why, unless it is something to do with energy prices even at the moment. But
I bet
she was saying later on in the year, definitely for things like aubergines and peppers, which normally you can't grow here anyway. She said, they don't all come from Spain.
Right.
So
it'll be the queue of lorries trying to get in and out of Dover, I bet you, because lettuce will come on a lorry. It wouldn't come through, it wouldn't put it in shipping containers.
No.
It would come on lorries, and you can't get in and out of Dover on a lorry because of, don't say the B word, it must be something to do with the weather or, not Brexit. Don't say
Brexit. Not Brexit, but that happened to us a couple of weeks ago. Well, no, 10 days ago now. A carer went into Lancaster for me, bought an organic lettuce again, and it was disgusting, and it had a date of about 4 days in front, and within about the next day it had just gone all brown and it was all wilty, and ever since Brexit I've noticed that citrus fruit is just rubbish. It's much more squishy. It looks like it's been sitting about for days, wherever you get it from.
Yeah, well, it's probably been on a hot lorry on some motorway waiting to get in or out.
Yeah. And that's definitely been since the Brexit thing. I've noticed citrus fruit is rubbish.
Right. Another Brexit bonus.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then now we're going to be short of wheat possibly as well, although I think we do grow quite a lot of wheat here.
Oh, wheat? I thought you said weed.
No, wheat. Well, maybe that too.
Want to score some pot?
Wheat, right.
No wheat, but because of Ukraine, they grow a tremendous amount of wheat, or I think we do grow quite a lot here, but that's probably going to go up in price because it's international prices, isn't it?
Everything is going to go up in price, Annie. Every single little tiny thing is going to go up in price, believe me.
Yeah, it's going to be horrendous. I've just done a huge order because every 5 months we do an order with Suma Whole Foods. Other whole food suppliers are available.
No, I don't think so. I think they got the market cornered.
Yes. Yeah, and we do a big order about once every 5 months. So our upstairs now, our spare room is groaning with food.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, right, well, if Vlad the Insaner drops the big one, then we'll just eat ourselves to death with, I don't know, nut butters and...
Well, if he does, I'll be at your door first thing, all right?
Spoons and oatcakes.
I'll bring my own fork. Thanks a lot, Annie. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Tom says, oh no, I've read that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Doing very well so far. How many texts have I got to read? So far, only another 8 pages. And time is ticking away. It is not waiting for anyone. So let's go straight with Sevenoaks. Mark.
Hi.
Mark.
Well, I'm concerned that people are not are focusing just on the rule breaking and lying to do with the Partygate situation, and not also including rule breaking and lying about other things.
Other things?
Well, Boris Johnson has said that he's about to start negotiating the Irish border situation.
I follow the ministerial guidance at all times.
And he suggested that he intends to break the rules regarding that.
Yes.
And, of course, he's lying about the fact that he needs to do that. Because we all know what the most popular solution to the Irish border problem is, don't we?
Which is?
Well, John Curtis has run polls that show 53% of people want to join the EU, and that would solve the problem.
Well, it's solving a problem for Boris Johnson because, as you say, he's getting ready for a fresh clash with Brussels. He's going to tear up that post-Brexit deal on Northern Ireland, that super fantastic deal that he told us that he had in the bag. It was the best deal that anybody has ever seen in history. And then the moment that he signed it, it was apparently the worst deal that anybody has ever seen in history. And he wanted the name of the person that had negotiated such a bad deal, it being him.
But I mean, how does he expect to get anywhere with these negotiations when the EU can look at these polls?
It doesn't make any difference.
There is a solution sitting there that they like.
You are looking at this in the wrong way. He's not interested in getting anywhere with these negotiations. He just wants to pick a fight with Europe because that's what's going to please his fans.
Well, his fans are not in a majority.
Don't make any difference. 47%, something like that, 46% of the electorate, of those who could be bothered to go to the polls, are what put him in his position. He never has had a majority support in this country.
That's true, but what helped also put him in that position because of that was because the vote was split. But since the Cheshire and Amersham by-elections, it seems that people are getting their act together. And most importantly, this is done on the activist level rather than on the leadership level of the parties. And what this, of course, means is the activists who are very much in favour of joining the EU and proportional representation can put pressure on the candidates. And the candidates are also in favour of those things. And so it's very easy for them to give in and tell central office, I had to give in to that because otherwise they'd go and campaign for somebody else.
Right, this is all getting very, very confusing, but you're missing the point entirely. The reason that he is picking a fight with Brussels is because that's what he thinks his fans want him to do.
Yes, but the point I'm making is that just getting his fans to vote for him is not going to work anymore.
I bet it will.
Keeping him in.
Well, I bet it will. We can lay a £5 bet on the results of the next general election, but if he's still in position, I bet that he will go to the people with 3 things. Leave it with me, and I'll elucidate further, Mark. All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, mate. So he's getting ready for a fresh fight with the EU. Yes, the European Union. Of course he is. To fight the next general election, to get back on top, to secure the support of his cult fans, he's got to ramp up 3 things. The war on woke, being mean to foreigners, and picking a fight with the European Union. That's check, check and check. Ministers are drawing up plans allowing him to unilaterally suspend parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which has been blamed for driving a wedge between the province and the rest of the UK. It isn't. It's the people that negotiated it and who made it necessary in the first place that are driving a wedge between the province and the rest of the UK. I mean, they're talking about it as though it has got nothing to do with them. You wrote it, Bodger. That melting candle David Frost negotiated it, and you sold it to us as the best deal in the whole world ever. And ever since you've said that no one saw such a terrible deal, worst deal anyone has ever said. I mean, it's all so much what would Donald Trump do? The move will allow ministers to switch off controversial border checks on goods crossing the Irish Sea, which have been blamed for disrupting trade and causing shortages. No! Brexit disrupted trade and caused shortages. The Prime Minister said he was ready to finally fix the problems with the protocol, fix the problems that he organised, he wrote and he signed. It's almost as though he was fibbing when he said that he had an oven-ready deal for us. Liar! Exactly. Johnson said the protocol really does not command the confidence of a large component of the population in Northern Ireland. We have to fix that. Well, you, Boris Johnson, do not command the confidence of a large component of the population in Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK as well. Maybe we should fix you.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
A Whitehall source said action to suspend some or all of the post-Brexit checks looked almost inevitable before the summer unless the EU backed down. By which they mean unless the EU stops abiding by the deal that this government negotiated and signed. Ministers fear that the Democratic Unionist Party, will refuse to continue with power sharing after next month's Stormont elections if the protocol remains in place. But as they think that the world is 5,000 years old and that the man walked with dinosaurs, maybe we shouldn't be held to ransom by the DUP. Oh, it's just so bloomin' obvious. The protocol was included as part of the PM's Brexit deal because the province effectively remains part of the EU's single market. Brussels demanded the right to impose checks on goods entering from the rest of the UK. Ministers say these checks are disrupting trade. No. The checks are what the EU does on its borders. We are the ones that insisted there be a border between the EU and the UK. It's not them, it's us. Northern Ireland Minister and head of Boris Johnson's fan club, Conor Burns, said the threshold for triggering Article 16 of the protocol, which allows either side to suspend it, had been reached. But Simon Hoare, Tory chairman of the Commons Northern Ireland Committee, said suspending the protocol could be a breach of international law. Well, we can't say that it's against the law until Sue Gray looks into it and releases her report. Bodge.
I can't comment on that.
Mark my words, that's what they're going to be fighting the next general election on. The war on woke, and they're going to ramp that up anytime soon. Believe me. I bet libraries are next. Be ripping books off shelves. So it's the war on woke. Oh, and history lessons in school. It'll be being mean to foreigners. I mean, that much goes without saying, really, doesn't it? And continuing to pick stupid fights with the European Union. I wonder if that's going to get you over the edge there, Bodge. Best of luck. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC. Well, is that working?
No.
No. It says it looks like it's working. But
it's a fader up.
I'm a trained professional. No, it's not working. It looks like it's working, but it's not working. Never mind, We'll just have to do without the ads. Tragic. Let's have a call from Sheffield. Liam.
Hi, Nick. Good evening.
Liam.
How's things?
They're great, mate.
Absolutely, mate. I'm slightly concerned about the Fisher. I'm wondering if all the Great British public could chip in the £200 heating loan that we've got to chip in for his £13,000 heating bill for his swimming pool.
He's got a £13,000 heating bill for a swimming pool.
Absolutely. Have you not seen the headlines for tomorrow? Well, today, even.
No, I haven't seen yesterday's headlines. Never mind about tomorrow's.
Oh, absolutely. It's so I'm feeling really sorry for him. So I'm hoping that again the Great British public could chip in and help him out.
Right. Well, that's an excellent idea, Liam. You start a fund, and I'll post whatever I've got, down the back of my sofa to it straight away, if not sooner.
Well, before you go, can I have a bodger, please?
If only I had that available, I would be doing it right now.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
But unfortunately, it's not to hand. But thanks, Liam. Exclusive. Rishi Sunak to spend £13,000 a year on heating his new pool. 6 times the average energy bill. What? Now, are we sure that we're not paying for this? Because MPs do tend to charge us poor dopes who pay taxes for their energy bills. Fishy Sunak is set to splash out, get it? Splash out. What paper is this?
Mirror.
Right. Fishy Sunak is set to splash out 13 grand a year to heat his new swimming pool, 6.5 times the average energy bill for a family home. The Chancellor has been building a pool, gym and tennis courts at his £1.5 million luxury manor in his North Yorkshire constituency. The huge rise in the energy price cap for consumers this month increased the cost of heating Sunak's pool by up to £3,500 a year. Yeah, what does he care? He's a blooming billionaire. But I bet he still charges us for heating at least one of his many homes. Because if there's one thing we know about billionaires, is that they're hanging on to every single penny seems to be the most important thing to them. It's like it keeps them up at night. It's bizarre. Seems like the more money you've got, the more desperate you are to cling on to every single penny of it. It's like they become infected with some sort of money disease. Once you go over, £100 million in wealth, then it's all you can think about. It's the only thing that's on your mind, 24 hours a day. How to cling on to all of it, not let any of it go. You don't want to waste any of it by paying taxes, for instance. Because taxes are just for the little people, not leprechauns. Carl says, with the 1,000-day anniversary of Bodger's time in office occurring this week, my 11-year-old son Nathan was wondering what would happen if you convert this time into European surrender measurements. Well, let's do the maths. I'm going to do mental arithmetic on the air.
Oh, no.
1,000 days in European surrender measurements. Let me see. So you do, it's like you multiply 1,000 by 5 and then divide it by 9 and add 32. So 1,000 times 5 is 5,000. Divide 5,000 by 9 is like 4,500. And then add 32. So 1,000 days of Boris Johnson's time in office in European surrender measurements is too bloomin' long. Precisely too bloomin' long. Zach emails, have you heard of drive-through CT scans? I overheard someone describing it to a friend while queuing at Costa Coffee. A drive-through CT scan? What are you talking about, Zach? I've heard of a drive-through Costa Coffee. Carrie's tweets, well, it serves you right, Nick, for buying your fruit and veg from the supermarket. What do you expect? Get a box delivered to you and then you'll be able to tell the difference. Can you, though? I mean, where do you think that the people who send a box of fruit and veg get their fruit and veg from? It's probably the very same people that supply supermarkets. I mean, supermarkets don't invent it. Farmers have got to grow it, even if it does end up on a styrofoam tray in a plastic wrap. It used to be in the ground. Yeah, no, I haven't actually succumbed to any of that, getting my veg delivered. And neither do I want to order my shopping online. I want to finger my own vegetables in store. I want to pick them up. I want to look at them. I want to peer at them, squeeze them, sniff them. And if they pass all of those tests, then they're going in my basket. I don't want to trust that very important job to anybody else, because I know that they won't be as strict as me. Plus, I think that they'd probably be on instructions from the various supermarkets to give you the thing that's at the front of the shelf. The product that has got the shortest shelf life. I'm not like that. I dismiss automatically whatever is at the front of the shelf, and I'm thinking of actually taking my own ladder, because I want to get right to the back of the shelf and see what they're hiding from me. You don't get that when you order it online. Keith says, give us some adjectives about Boris, please. Well, unfortunately, I'm running out of time, Keith. Heather says, that eyeball burning thing, no need for lasers, just stare at the number 10 wallpaper for 5 minutes. Well, that's a good point, Heather. T says, every time I see President Zelensky staying, fighting, even after the offer of removal from the USA, I'm reminded of the time that our Prime Minister hid in a fridge from Good Morning Britain. Yes, didn't you, Bodge? Just so embarrassing. I mean, I suppose it's our fault. We get the leader we deserve. I don't know what we've deserved to get this leader, but whatever it was, it must have been awful.
Dreadful.
And we should be very sorry. I know I am. Jennifer says, we can't have cooking oil because of the war. Evil Putin has reduced us to oven chips. Damn it! That swivel-eyed golem in Moscow has got a lot to answer for. Tim tweets, James O'Brien used 3 sound effects the other day and said he was starting a Nick Abbott tribute act. Not my sound effects, I hope. Diane says, have you heard that Nadine Dorries is now slamming those who have mocked her for using the words tennis courts? Well, she didn't use tennis courts, she used tennis pitches. Tennis pitches and downstreaming, as she's now saying she's getting bullied for her dyslexia. I don't know about you, but she's such a snowflake, says Diane. Yeah, like I said before, I don't know what we've done to deserve this, but we should all be very, very sorry. Thank you, sir. May I have another? James says, many a time you have voiced your dislike of our monarchy as an institution, yet you seem to defend Harry and that American woman who thinks she's the Queen. I don't think she thinks she's the Queen at all. I think she thinks that she's a star. Which she is. She was a star before she met Hazza. She was in that show Suits. An actress. And anyway, they left the institution. Your text makes no sense, James. Lee tweets, I'm going to a family wedding in Glasgow on August the 5th. Should I pack a raincoat? Yeah, I think that would be wise, Lee. Patrick says, knowing you drive a clapped-out old banger. Rude. He says, you surely must be shopping in Aldi. Ask Steve Allen, he'll set you straight. Steve Allen doesn't even know Aldi exists. You kidding? Gaz tweets, the taste in fruit and veg has declined. It's the nutrients in the soil that are in decline, and it's alarming for nutrition. Not good, says Gaz. John says, have you ever heard of ugly fruit? It's a Cross between a grapefruit and a Jaffa orange. Yeah, but nobody buys it because it's called ugly. Nobody ever saw a beautiful, ugly fruit. Right, any more of these that I need to read out? Because I've just got pages and pages and pages and 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds left. Right, I'll just pick one at random. Neil says, did you have your eye surgery done in the Tower of London in the 15th century? Well, now you come to mention it. I'm going to be back tonight at 10 o'clock. It's right at the bottom of this. It's like about 9 pages down, my instructions as to who's to follow. Ian Payne is here at 4 o'clock. But first, right now, it's Clyde Ball.
Nick, thank you. Coming up after the news at 1, as Jacob Rees-Mogg leaves his passive-aggressive notes on the empty desks of people working from home, is he right to be pushing workers to get back to the office? Also, what are the implications of working from home for cybersecurity? Does it put you more or less at risk? And is the EU right to say working from home can help beat Putin? We'll have some answers to that. And the French go to the polls later today to elect their president. 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 Elect their president.